Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the big ideas using the source material itself. And today, we're looking at a single statement from a tech CEO that might just rewrite the entire future of AI, and maybe more importantly, set two giants on a collision course.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. Not long ago, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang said something that didn't just get people talking. It may have completely reset the timeline for artificial intelligence. And for anyone watching the high-stakes game between today's biggest tech companies, this has massive implications. And there it is. That's the quote that sent a jolt through the entire industry. The CEO of the company that is literally powering the AI revolution says that artificial general intelligence, AGI, isn't some far-off dream anymore. He thinks it's here. Like, right now. Now, this is so much more than just a bold claim. If he's right, it completely changes the game. All those huge economic shifts we thought were still years, maybe decades away, they could be happening as we speak. But to really get what he's saying, you have to ask a really important question. What does he actually mean by AGI?
Yeah, so to understand the weight of this, you've got to forget the sci-fi Hollywood version of AGI. The key to this entire idea hangs on a much more practical and, frankly, economic definition of intelligence.
So the debate he's kicking off, it's not about whether robots are going to become conscious or learn to feel. No. It's about a really fundamental change in how we measure intelligence in the first place, moving away from this abstract academic concept to one that's all about concrete economic output.
And this is where it gets super interesting. On the left, you've got the classic definition of AGI we all kind of know, a machine that thinks like a human that can generalize. But look at the right. That's the economic definition Jensen is talking about. The question isn't how the AI thinks, it's all about what it can do. Can it create more economic value than most humans? Can it provide real measurable utility? That's the real test.
And when you look at it through that lens, well, you could argue that today's AI is already superhuman. These agents can handle incredibly complex tasks. They can run parts of a business. They can generate value at a scale that, probably surpasses what 95% of the human workforce can do. So from a purely functional, economic standpoint, maybe AGI is already here.
But here's where the whole thing pivots. Jensen Huang didn't just stop there. He then connected this AGI moment directly to one person and one company in particular, Elon Musk and Tesla. And he basically laid out Musk's playbook for how he doesn't just win in a market, he wins entire industries. He boils it down to these three core ideas. First, Musk doesn't just improve things, he rethinks the whole system from the ground up, using fundamental physics. Second, he doesn't accept the existing supply chains, he just builds new ones to fit his vision. And third, the guy executes with this insane urgency, literally showing up on the factory floor to fix problems himself.
And this all comes from something called engineering thinking. You see, most people, most companies, they think by analogy. They look at a car and say, how can we make this car a little bit better? Musk starts with a blank piece of paper and asks, what do the laws of physics say is actually possible? And then he builds that. It's a totally different way of seeing the world. And it's that exact mindset that connects this AGI breakthrough to what might be the next great economic frontier. It's not about fighting for a bigger slice of the current pie, it's about using first principles to bake a whole new, infinitely bigger pie.
You know, it's easy to think that the goal of AGI is to just take over a bigger piece of our current $120 trillion global economy. But that's thinking by analogy. The true first principles potential here is, well, it's basically infinite.
And here's the absolute kicker. AGI doesn't just replace human jobs in our economy. It has the power to create entirely new products, new services, even whole new economies that we can't even imagine yet. And that creates a near infinite demand for more intelligence, which creates more economic growth. It's this incredible, explosive feedback loop.
But there's a big physical problem, a bottleneck. To get infinite intelligence, you need infinite energy and infinite computer chips. You can't do that on Earth. We have resource limits, thermal limits, we'd cook the planet. The only place you can really scale to infinity is space. And that is the heart of what's being called the space AI thesis. Building this new economy means you need rockets, orbital data centers, a huge industrial base off-planet. And who is building that exact infrastructure right now? Tesla and SpaceX.
And that brings us to the final and most dramatic piece of this whole puzzle, because this space AI idea puts two of the biggest companies in the world, companies that are actually partners today, on an unavoidable collision course.
I mean, right now, Tesla is one of Nvidia's biggest customers. The two CEOs seem to have a lot of mutual respect. But make no mistake, their long-term goals are aimed at the exact same prize, building the computing infrastructure for this brand new infinite economy. They're frenemies, and the crash is coming.
So here's how the showdown looks. On one side, you have Tesla and SpaceX. They are absolute masters of vertical engineering. They build the rockets, the cars, the robots, all of it. Their big challenge? They need to massively scale up their own chip production. On the other side is Nvidia, the undisputed king of designing AI chips and the data centers to run them. Their challenge? It's a big one. They have zero capability in space.
And this puts Nvidia in a really tight spot. It's a classic case of the innovator's dilemma. Their entire multi-trillion-dollar business is perfectly optimized for data centers right here on Earth. To pivot to the completely different physics and logistics of space, that would mean reinventing their entire business. It's an incredibly risky move.
Which leads to a pretty stark prediction. The argument is that if Nvidia doesn't start a massive, strategic pivot towards building a space AI architecture, and soon, like within the next 24 months, Tesla and SpaceX's head start in building the physical infrastructure is going to become completely insurmountable. The clock is ticking.
So in the end, the real question isn't just about who can design a better chip. It's about who can master the brutal, mind-bendingly complex logistics and engineering of building an entirely new industrial base hundreds of miles above our heads. The race to build the next economy isn't happening in Silicon Valley anymore. It's happening in space.